What makes an effective leader? If we Google the word leader, we get more than 300 million hits. On Amazon, there are more than 50,000 books on leadership topics. In my professional experience as leadership coach and trainer, I collaborate with many leaders, potential leaders, managers, and when I'm in a room with them, I ask, what makes an effective leader? And I receive many different answers, because usually there are many different styles and approaches to leadership. But at the end, all styles have to be effective, whether it is in a world of business, politics, or everyday life. Today, we are living in a world that is complex, unpredictable, and competitive, where organizations operate on a global environment that requires continuously new products and new services to meet the needs of new markets and new customers. To be effective and to drive innovation, the context in which we live is requiring from leaders a new leadership capability, diversity and inclusion, that can be integrated to the core aspect of leadership, such as communication, self-awareness, influencing others, and the ability to learn and adapt. But what do we mean by diversity and inclusion? To use an analogy, diversity and inclusion is like an orchestra. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and I'd like you to focus on every single musical instrument. Diversity is like every single musical instrument that is unique and diverse. Inclusion is like all instruments playing together that create a beautiful symphony. And the inclusive leader is like the maestro, the conductor, that listens to and coordinates the uniqueness of musical instruments. When in an organization we have a diverse workforce, a leader can leverage on the strengths of diversity of thoughts that comes from people with different cultural background, experience, ages, gender, sexual orientation, or neurodiversity. When in an organization a leader can leverage on the diversity of thoughts, we have an inclusion, and the leader can leverage on the acknowledgement and valuing the value of diversity of thoughts. To give you an example, a couple of years ago, a company called Mattel, a toy company, decided to launch a new product, new dolls, that were going to be marketed to African American children. In order to ensure that the dolls were culturally sensitive, the senior management decided to enlist Mattel's African American employee resource group to guide and to advise the marketing team through the launch of the product. Today, it is one of the company's best-selling focused minority brands. Like Mattel, many other companies are embracing diversity and inclusion because they know the value of harnessing the unique insights and experience that each employee brings to the table. My concern as a woman and as a leadership coach is that while we are making some progress towards diversity and inclusion, there are still some barriers towards women and minorities. In fact, women still remain underrepresented on board of directors and executive committees where decisions are made. And let me ask you a question. How many women in this room have ever been the only woman in a room at work in their career? Please raise your hands. Okay. I can see it's the majority. 1 in 5 women say that often they are the only woman in a room at work. And 80% of women who are at the management level report to experience microaggressions. Employing women and minorities is not only about social or moral issues, but it's also about including them in key decision-making process and activities, and is about valuing their contributions. So how do we close the inclusion gap? In my professional experience, I believe that we need to start from the top down with an inclusive leader that makes diversity and inclusion at the core of organizations' values and is mindful of personal and organizational blind spots. Also, diversity and inclusion has to be supported at every single management level with commitment through actions. So to create an inclusive environment where all employees feel safe to speak up, where they are valued, appreciated, acknowledged, and they have a sense of belonging. Of course, changes need time. And to achieve diversity and inclusion in an organization or in a company is not an easygoing process. But an organization's only sustainable advantage is its human capital. And investing more effectively in people and in people's potential can make an organization ready to compete and thrive in this rapidly changing world. More broadly, imagine if all countries, all nations believe in people's potential. We would have a better world, one that is more inclusive and equitable, that can transform future prosperity and quality of life. Thank you.